So, I'm still catching up on movies from 2017, guilty as charged, and there's a couple reasons I avoided watching Happy Death Day initially. Number one, the title, Happy Death Day. Sounds like it's going to be a really B-grade, cheesy kind of terrible acted flick, so the title kind of put me off to begin with. Another major issue I had with this horror so-called film is it was PG rated. I very rarely do I appreciate any PG rated horror films. They usually get it so wrong, and it's a little bit too childish most of the time to actually be a proper horror flick. So with those two things there, the movie's definitely going to be terrible, right? Right? It's going to be absolutely horrible. Nobody's going to enjoy it whatsoever. Wrong. And I couldn't be any more wrong. This is probably the most surprising movie I've ever watched. It's definitely a film that my expectations were at their absolute lowest, and I came out pleasantly surprised and actually loving the movie. Jessica Roth is awesome as Tree, and what happens is Tree wakes up one day, it's her birthday, and she gets killed by a masked killer. And every time she dies, she wakes up again, kind of like Groundhog Day, big tribute to Groundhog Day here. So she keeps waking up again, getting killed by the same masked killer, and she must relive each day, figure out who the killer is, and try and figure out how to stop this day from repeating itself over and over again. She needs to try and get out of this loop. What I really appreciated and found refreshing was the way that the character evolves throughout the film. She wakes up as a really bitchy, arrogant, up herself kind of woman. She's having an affair with a professor that's married. She's rude to people, treats people like shit. Particularly her roommate. She's really rude to her roommate. Doesn't even acknowledge the fact that her roommate went to all this trouble to make her a cupcake for her birthday, and she just ignored it and just left the room, stormed out because, she had a one-night stand, so she's got to deal with that. But just really bitchy, self-absorbed. And as the movie progresses, you see how she just evolves, changes, realizes how people actually are. She comes to terms with what's actually important in life, and she becomes a different person. As the movie progresses, you see the changes, and I just thought that was extremely well done. My hat's off to the director. Even when she wakes up with a dude that she assumes she's had a one-night stand with, and she's just ultra rude to him for the first few times, and then kind of warms up to him and realizes this is actually a really nice person. So throughout the film, and being killed over and over again, reliving the same day, she learns so much about the people around her and the personalities and what's important, not this group of bitchy women who tell you what to eat. And she also learns a lot about herself, and it's clearly visible in the film and couldn't have been done any better. And that's pretty much what this is about. She needs to relive every day, kind of like Groundhog Day, repeating the same day over and over again. Every time she dies, she wakes up on her birthday in the same place. Everything's exactly the same. It only changes depending on her actions, what she does differently. And she does things differently, obviously, every time she wakes up because she needs to get out of this loop and stay alive. Even though it sounds kind of cheesy and corny, it's actually really, really well done. The character development is awesome. Jessica Roth is outstanding. I don't think she could be any more convincing. She did a phenomenal job here, and you can definitely feel the emotions and a connection to the character, which is something that I definitely look for in movies. As far as negatives go, I guess some of the supporting actors weren't quite as strong. Their acting skills aren't quite top-notch like Jessica Roth, but it's really something that you have to pick on. It's not really that noticeable. You can definitely get away with it. If you're having a few drinks with friends and enjoying this movie, you're not going to notice. But if you're like me and you watch so many films and you can identify every little detail in a movie, then you might notice that the acting is a little bit weaker with some of the co-cast members. But having said that, it doesn't really lose much points there at all. And I did think that the ending was going to disappoint, but there's quite a lot of twists and turns at the end. So actually, when you think that everything's all over, solved, done and dusted, she's figured everything out, it just twists all the way around and we're pretty much back to square one. And I love that. I love when, we have this sense of relief and we think everything's like over and done with and she's figured it out, she's back to her normal life, and then all of a sudden, boom, something happens and it just twists everything around. So there's a lot of twists and turns in this movie, which I really like. I hate predictability, hate predictable movies, and this definitely delivers on some surprises. So you're going to enjoy that, definitely. That's pretty much all that I can say about the film without any spoilers. I'm going to get into spoilers in a moment. First of all, I'm going to rate it out of 13. Out of 13, I give Happy Death Day a well-deserved 12. It was really hard to fault this movie. I thought that the ending wasn't going to deliver. I really thought I'd be disappointed with where it was going, but then all of a sudden it twists things around and just gives you that slap in the face to make you realize that not all is what it seems, and I love that. So if you've seen the movie or you don't really care much about the spoilers, I'm about to get into the spoilers now. For those of you that want to see the film after watching my review, you can stop it now, because I'm just going to maybe take a minute or two talking about the very end. So warning, spoilers are incoming, leave now. You've got your rating, it's a 12 out of 13. It's a Bannock 13 recommendation, must watch. Go watch this film now if you haven't. Open up that Netflix, watch it with your friends, have a few drinks, do whatever you got to do. Now the spoilers. So what happens at the very end is she figures out that it's a serial killer who's actually killing her and is after her. A hospitalized serial killer that escapes a hospital and is after Tree. This is the point in time where I was like, oh, really? You know, this sort of thing has been done before. Escaped mental patient, escaped serial killer, you know, serial killer on the loose. It's been done so many times, and I just thought it's definitely going to lose points if she kills this serial killer and everything's back to normal, done and dusted. However, there's a huge twist. So it's not the serial killer that she's actually got to worry about. It's her roommate that makes her the freaking cupcake as a birthday present. So it turns out being bitchy at the very start saved her life. Every time she didn't eat that cupcake, she was fine. But when she did, the cupcake was poisoned. Not only was the cupcake poisoned by her roommate, the roommate also drugged the serial killer, assisted him to escape the hospital. So it looks like that he actually killed Tree and she gets off scot-free. And the stupid thing is, I forgot to mention that her roommate was doing all this, killing her, because she slept with some guy that the roommate liked or was seeing. Absolutely ridiculous reason to kill somebody, but maybe she's crazy and mental and that just came out because of that event. I don't know. It's not enough to lose any more points. It's still quite an enjoyable film, and I really like that twist. I love that it was the roommate that poisoned the cupcake. I was just like, really? Didn't see that one coming? And that is what I like. So there's your spoilers there. Hopefully you didn't watch this far. If you haven't seen the film, I highly recommend watching it. And coming up next, I'm planning on going to the cinema to watch the new Avengers movie. Now, before I actually go to the cinema, I'm actually watching the previous two Avenger movies, and I'm going to definitely review them before I go to the cinema, watch the new one, Infinity War, and then I'm going to do a review on that as well. So stay tuned for that. If you like my movie stuff, give me a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments below. I do focus primarily on video game stuff, mostly Diablo 3 guides. So if you like movies and Diablo 3 and video games, then it's more the reason to subscribe and keep coming back to visit your creepy goddamn uncle. Bannock 13, Lost Boys, best movie.